Getting your point across is a two-step process. And we all know the second step. The second step is having a good point and presenting it in the best possible way. And most people jump straight to step two. And most of the time that's enough. But when it's not, you absolutely need to make sure you start at step one. Now, every week people ask me, Simon, how do I get my partner to understand this? Have you got any advice on how to best word this? I need her to understand. Simon, can you just listen to my story for a minute and then share with me your thoughts about where I'm going wrong? He never understands. How can I improve this? Step two, step two, step two. We jump straight to step two. And some people then even go on to share their story with me, that their step two, their good point, presented in the best possible way. And this often is presented with flawless logic. But all the best logic in the world is not necessarily going to help. As humans, we're seemingly addicted to logic and rationale. And then we get lost in the logic of all logic, the King Kong of logic, which is the idea that the person with the most logical logic, the person with the best logic, should be the winner. We get into logic battles. My logic's better than your logic and I can prove it. But it just doesn't work. Firstly, because generally we all think and feel that our logic is the best. It makes the most sense to us, and that's why we think it. And second, and most important, we are emotional beings. Contrary to what most people believe, research in recent years into the brain's action pathways has discovered that all our decisions are informed by emotions. All decisions are based on emotion, and then we use logic to explain and justify that decision. For example, we feel into a decision on where to go on holiday or even whether to go on holiday, and then we use logic to explain to ourselves and the people around us why we've made that decision. If something just doesn't feel right, then it's difficult for us to believe it's a good idea regardless of the logic. And if we feel pushed or pulled or harassed, or maybe unvalued or unheard, unsafe, or disrespected by someone who's trying to get their point across, then it will be even harder for us to agree, again, regardless of the logic. So when you're trying to get your point across, focusing only on the logic and ignoring the emotions and feelings will limit you and your success. It truly doesn't matter how good your point is and how well you present it. If your partner is unreceptive at an emotional level, if their wall is up, then all your efforts are going to bounce off their wall and hit the floor. And if you keep trying to push your point when this is happening, then your partner's likely going to add more bricks to the wall and just barricade themselves in. Have you experienced this before? Pushing creates more pushback in return. Resistance creates resistance. Before we go any further, if you're new to the channel or if you haven't already, please get your free copy of the Guide to Increase Your Argument IQ. This guide exposes the patterns and structures that lie hidden underneath the surface, and it's these patterns and structures that actually create arguments. Interrupt these patterns and structures and you can change arguing in your relationship forever. The link is in the description below. So the important step one is to do anything and everything you can to work on your partner's receptiveness, so that when you get to step two, presenting your good point in a good way, that your partner's most likely going to be present and emotionally available to explore and consider your ideas, with their walls down or at least not firmly slammed shut. Now, there are many factors involved in doing your best to create this receptiveness. For instance, maybe the time of day matters, or the day of the week. Or maybe you're better off trying to get your point across while your partner's eating, or after they've eaten, or during a walk. But receptiveness is primarily emotion-based. Do I feel honoured? Do I feel heard? Do I feel respected? Do I feel worthy in this relationship? Am I important? Am I being taken seriously? The biggest overall factor by far to work on if you want to influence your partner's receptiveness is your willingness and ability to actually put down your own point and be receptive to theirs. You have to work on your own receptiveness first. We just can't expect someone to be receptive of us and our story unless we're also willing to be receptive for them. Hey, I want you to hear me out. I've got a really good point here. This is really important that you get it. But I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not interested in what you want to say. It just doesn't work. Putting your point down to work on your partner's receptiveness, step one, means just that. Actually releasing your hold on your ideas and the outcome that you want, putting all this down for now, and genuinely being willing to explore other options. Now, you can pick up your point again later, absolutely, but you have to be able to put it down first. You want to get your point across, quite simply, stop, be quiet, listen, and help your partner feel heard. Be open to the idea that there might even be an option that's even better than the idea you have. Maybe it hasn't even been thought of yet. Always leave this possibility open. Or does it just have to be your way? Is your point the only possible way forward? Well, either way, nothing changes here. If it's really important that you get your point across, then my message for you is it's just as important then that you put it down for a while so that you can be present and explore your partner's ideas. The better you can do this, genuinely, the more likely your partner will be receptive for you. And then you have the greatest chance of finding conversation, not argument, not debate, not avoidance or shutdown. And it's through conversation that solutions become possible. Now, the biggest receptivity tools are feeling heard and agreeing. So again, put your point down. Genuinely show interest in other points. Explore other angles and ideas. Do your best to hear your partner out. What is their point? What is it that makes this point, their point, make the most sense to them? Find it out. Find things then that you agree on. And then introduce your point, hopefully a good point, and deliver it in a constructive way. When you do this, you'll have significantly upped the chances of getting your point across. I've already made 2 videos on the practice of making your partner feel heard as well as agreeing. These again are the most important receptivity tools. So please, if you want to take this 2-step process and you want to apply it to your relationship and your life, then it's really important to also add the learning from these videos. Listening is very different to feeling heard. Listening does not equal feeling heard. If you want to truly understand how best to make your partner feel heard, then please click on the video that will appear on the screen at the end. This is the video Listening Doesn't Work Part 2, How to Unlock the Magic of Feeling Heard. Now Part 2 is a practical part. Part 1 also, if you want to watch that, is all the logic and the theory that leads up to the practice in Part 2. Go and have a look. And if this video has made you think in new ways, or has been a reminder for you, or validated what you already knew, if you've got this far, then please like the video and also subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the weekly content. Thanks for watching. See you next week, and be kind to yourself out there.